Every team has its inspirational leader, and for Denver, it's the veteran safety Brian Dawkins. The 7-time Pro Bowler will do his share as the Broncos look to snap a 2-game losing streak today. It comes to you next year on CBS in Sony High Definition.
Take it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Take it!
CBS Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Back to Landover, Maryland. How in the world is this mid-November? 72 degrees. It is an absolutely gorgeous day, and most of the country would take this as a wonderful day in the middle of summer.
No kidding. Absolutely perfect, crystal clear sunshine, and this is some stadium.
Denver Broncos won the toss. They will receive. Eddie Royal is deep. Royal has returned a kickoff and a punt for a touchdown this year. Came in the same game at San Diego. That's Sean Sweezum. He will kick it away for the Redskins. And with a couple more steps, we're on the way. Royal fakes the reverse. Out to the 20, 25, cuts it back, and is across the 30-yard line with a pretty good return. And like the Broncos, Denver quarterback Kyle Orton started the season like a house of fire, but he's had 2 tough outings of late. He has 9 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions on the year, and looking to reacquire the magic that saw the Broncos through their first 6 games of this season. Line of scrimmage is the 33-yard line. The pitch is for the rookie, Noshawn Moreno. Moreno, 40-yard line and more. Midfield. Inside the 40-yard line of the Redskins.
Well, this is old-fashioned power football, and it didn't surprise the Redskins. They actually slid to this side, but look at all the people out in front. It starts with the lead block by Columbus, and then a couple good blocks downfield, and the rest is Moreno. But you could see the linebackers for the Redskins actually shifted to their left into the strength of that formation, and still Denver pulled it off.
28-yard pickup by Moreno. He'll get the ball again. Nothing on the right side. This time he's buried at the 40-yard line. Let's check Denver's offensive line. It shows one change today from its usual look. Number 71, Russ Hochstein, replacing Ben Hamilton at the left guard spot. Playmakers galore among the backs and receivers in Buckhalter, Brandon Marshall, Eddie Royal, and Noshawn Moreno.
We saw Columbus get that good block out front there, Greg. Remember, he's filling in for Ryan Harris, who's missing his 2nd game at right tackle.
Making the end around, the screen goes nowhere. Moreno on the receiving end, and he's back to the line of scrimmage. Washington's defense, 41 years of NFL experience in the front 4. Daniels, Griffin, Hainsworth, and Andre Carter. The linebackers feature the outstanding rookie Brian Orakpo, steady veteran London Fletcher playing his 185th straight game. In the secondary, good corners in Rogers and Hall, a tough safety in LaRon Landry. Reed Doughty starts for injured Chris Horton. 3rd and 11 as you look at big Albert Hainsworth in the middle of that defense. From the shotgun, Orton with all kinds of time, going to go deep, has a man wide open for the touchdown, Brandon Marshall. That just looked too easy.
Well, it is so rare for Denver to stretch the field. We just talked about it in our open about Orton in this passing game has got to go a little bit vertical. And this is some sort of a mental mistake in the secondary. Carlos Rogers, number 22, starts out with the initial coverage. Obviously, he believes he's got some sort of safety over the top that's responsible for the deep outside of the field, and that was not the case.
The extra point is good. For the first time all season, the Denver Broncos score a touchdown on their opening drive, and head coach Josh McDaniels feeling that winning way again. 7-0 Denver. It's been a bad habit for the Washington Redskins to fall behind in football games, and that's where they find themselves with 12:47 to play here in the first quarter. 4 plays, 67 yards. And as we said, first time all season long, in fact, in quite a while, they've scored on their opening drive of the game. Rock Cartwright is deep for the kick. And he'll return this one from the goal line. Across the 20 and out to about the 22 or 23, and let's go back to the touchdown pass.
Yeah, it's a great route. Here's Brandon Marshall up at the top. Here's Carlos Rogers. Marshall is just going to give a little stutter and go, and watch Carlos Rogers bite all over it. Here it comes, right, that little stutter, and there it's over. LaRon Landry has the middle of the field. That is Carlos Rogers, who's got the man coverage. He's got a safety in the middle of the field, but he just bit all over that little stutter and go by Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall's 5th touchdown catch of the season, and now the Redskins go from their own 22-yard line, and he gives to LaDell Betts for maybe a yard. The Washington quarterback is Jason Campbell in his 5th season out of Auburn, completing 2/3 of his throws, 9 touchdowns, 8 picks on the year, and fighting a couple of sore ankles in the process.
Well, again, for Campbell, it has, I think, been about the offensive line and their problems up front. It has been painful sometimes to watch some Redskins games to see how much Jason Campbell is having to run for his life in what should be a secure pocket.
Campbell throws for the first time today, and a short pass out to the 30-yard line is complete to his tight end, Fred Davis. Injury has wreaked havoc on the offensive line this season. Today it's Levi Jones, Derek Dockery, Casey Robach, Chad Reinhardt, and Stephon Heyer. Running back Clinton Portis suffered a concussion last week at Atlanta. They don't know when he'll be back. LaDell Betts is starting in his place.
Well, that last pass we saw from Jason Campbell is what I think we're going to see a lot of 3-step drops, get rid of the ball in a hurry. Levi Jones going against Elvis Dumerville over there on the left side is a tough matchup when it happens. And I think the short, quick throws are Washington's answer early.
On 3rd and 1, they're going to give to Cartwright, who has the first down. So the Redskins come back with a first down. A look at Denver's 3-4 defense. LaKeven Smith starts for injured Ryan McBean. Fields and Peterson fill out the front. At linebacker, number 92, Elvis Dumerville, 10.5 sacks on the year. He's tied with Minnesota's Jared Allen for the NFL lead. And the Broncos lean on great leadership in the secondary in 11-year veteran Champ Bailey and 14-year vet Brian Dawkins.
Hate to have to play all those kids back in the secondary.
Pass to the far side, knocked down by number 56, Robert Ayers, the rookie out of Tennessee.
Well, both of these teams invested a #1 draft pick in a linebacker. Ayers for the Broncos, Arakpo for the Redskins. They're both starters, and they're both very good players. Two hits by both of the personnel departments for both Washington and Denver with their rookie #1 picks at LB.
On 2nd and 10, it's Betts. Betts breaking tackles across the 35 out to about the 38. There's Clinton Portis. We said suffered a concussion a week ago at Atlanta in the Redskins' 31-17 loss to the Falcons.
Well, when you saw the hit and the way that Portis was absolutely motionless down on the field afterwards, you knew that he was going to miss some game time. That was a serious hit.
Go wrong.
3rd and 5. Campbell looking to set up the pass out here to the near side to Betts out of the backfield, and that's good for a first down.
I mentioned last week when Clinton Portis got hurt, and here it is right here. And just look at the way he's down. Watch his head. He gets hit from both sides, and he was down on the field absolutely motionless. And when you see someone who takes that kind of a hit in the reaction afterwards, this is not a surprise that he's not playing this week.
Rock Cartwright in the backfield now, and Cartwright gets the handoff, cuts it inside across midfield. Inside the 40-yard line of the Denver Broncos, and the Redskins are on the move. Brian Dawkins made the stop.
Oh, beautiful hole on the left side of the Redskins offense. And who, by the way, the Redskins have a lot of confidence in Cartwright and Betts. But take a look at this. There's Levi Jones. He keeps working. Take a look at that. He moves Kenny Peterson all the way to the outside, then walls him off. And a good seal back to the inside. And DJ Williams was tied up long enough that he went for the ankles and couldn't make the play.
17 yards and a first down for the Redskins. Now inside the Denver 40, and Campbell to throw. Under pressure, got it away, complete inside the 35, and to the 30 is Antoine Randall L.
Well, this is a very nice response by the Redskins. And talk about having experience in the pocket of dodging a lot of people. That's what Jason Campbell's been doing all year. Boy, you can see Andre Davis just flew right by him. But look at this. This is a quality throw to Antoine Randall L. Under duress. Nice work, Jason Campbell.
At the beginning of the day, Dan, you made reference to Jason Campbell's problems in the pocket. You can see right away the Redskins are having him get rid of the ball early.
Well, I'll tell you one of his problems. It does not exist. That's physical toughness.
Stay there, stay there!
Campbell throws complete inside the 20, inside the 15, inside the 10-yard line, all the way to the 5, the tight end, Fred Davis.
Fred Davis was the Redskins' second pick last year, and now with the absence of Chris Cooley, he's getting all the reps in practice. And you talk to Jim Zorn, and he tells you every day he just gets better and better. And a nice soft hand grab of the ball out in front of him. Campbell put it in a nice spot. A lot to like about this second-year guy from USC. Fred Davis is here to stay.
First and goal, Washington from the 5. That's the 5th first down of this drive for the Redskins. Campbell will throw. Incomplete, just inside the goal line. Devin Thomas couldn't hold on.
I don't think Jason has delivered a lot of nice throws. That wasn't one of them. That was back behind Thomas. But this has been a very nicely balanced drive. They've gotten some good effective blocks on the running game, and Jason Campbell's been throwing strikes right up to that last one.
This Washington team has been outscored 52-10 in the first quarter of games this year. They give it to Betts, and Betts inside the 5 to about the 2-yard line.
Boy, Betts cut it back into the middle for a moment there. It looked like if he would have broken it to the outside, he might have walked into the end zone. Jim Zorn is looking at the play sheet, but I think everyone knows by now he's not actually making the call. That's being done by Sherm Lewis upstairs, their offensive consultant.
Third and goal, and Rock Cartwright is the back behind Campbell. 12th play of this drive. Campbell on the move, throws, touchdown. Todd Yoder, the tight end, his second TD catch of the year.
Well, rather than going, here we go again, being down 7-0, the Redskins show some real backbone and counter with one fine scoring drive. If you're a Redskins fan, you've got to be pleased with what they showed right there.
Using the extra point is good. Jason Campbell throws his 10th touchdown pass of the year to cap a 78-yard drive. We're tied at 7. We'll be right back.
Yeah, we there. Yeah,
6 minutes, 32 seconds to play here in the first quarter, and Jason Campbell and the Redskins answer with a 12-play, 78-yard drive and Campbell's touchdown pass to Todd Yoder. Once again, Eddie Royal deep. And this one will sail out of bounds.
By rule, the ball be placed on the 40-yard line. Timeout.
Instant field position for Kyle Orton of the Denver Broncos when we continue. kickers don't feel great when they do that, do they, Dan?
No, you're looking for anyone that'll take you when you're looking for a spot on the bench after you kick it out of bounds. Such a punitive penalty all the way up to the 40.
Orton will throw this way, and it's complete, and out to midfield is Tony Scheffler, the tight end. Looks like he's just short of a first down. We'll call it a 9-yard pickup, and it'll be 2nd and 1.
Tell you one thing, we'll see if this continues for the entire game, but so far in the first quarter, we're seeing receivers on both sides making some nice catches. That was not an easy grab at all by Scheffler. On both sides, we've seen receivers going and getting the ball for the quarterback.
We're also seeing uncovered receivers, too. On 2nd and 1, Terrell Buckhalter gets the first down across midfield to about the 48-yard line.
Well, a couple of offenses that have been struggling coming into today's game got off to a really good start. Noshawn Moreno gets off to a good start, and then Brandon Marshall with the stutter and go. They get Denver on top 7-0. Then it's Rock Cartwright with a beautiful hole off the left side. And then Yoder, there's another one of those catches I'm talking about. He lays out for it, and we've got ourselves a 7-7 game.
Coming up on 5:20 to play in the first quarter. First down, Denver. Gives it to Brandon Marshall. Marshall, left side, inside the 40. And let's see if that's good enough for another first down. Very close to the first down marker.
Well, Josh McDaniels working off his script. He's the head coach of Denver, but he's also the offensive play caller. And after so many years of doing it in New England, if you can have so many years of doing anything when you're 33.
The pitch for Buckhalter. 35. Hit from behind, put the ball on the ground. It's recovered by Washington. The fumble on the near sideline. The pickup by the Redskins. So many beautiful and amazing and historic sights here in our nation's capital as we welcome you back. Coming up on 4.5 minutes to play here in the first quarter. And on the first play from scrimmage, Ladell Betts. Hit by around the field. Let's go back to the turnover.
Yeah, let's take a close look at it. It's a great job of hustling, first of all, by Buckhalter, as he really tries to make something happen, but he's not expecting to get hit from behind, and that's what happens right there when coming in from behind is Lorenzo Alexander, a hustling defensive lineman. See, there he comes in right there, and Buckhalter not expecting it at all. Reed Doughty picks up the loose football. Excellent hustle by a defensive lineman in Alexander.
On 2nd and 9 from the shotgun, Campbell throws this side, and that's off the hands of Betts. Coming out of the backfield, it'll be 3rd and 9.
D'Angelo Hall was slow getting up, and he's over there on the Redskins bench now with their medical staff. That time Jason Campbell just threw it a little too far out in front. That would have been a pretty easy completion, and I'm sure he'd like to try that one more time.
We were asking Jason Campbell how he felt this week. He says it's been a lot of Epsom salt and sea salt this week.
He's got an ankle that's bothering him. He had a chest contusion last week. He got tattooed on a play. I guarantee he's a regular visitor to the hot tub every week.
Campbell, incomplete on the short slant intended for Santana Moss, and Washington will kick.
Well, that was a couple instances there by Jason Campbell, and I'm sure that's what Jim Zorn's going to talk to him about. You had open guys, and you just missed them. Moss was open there, a better throw. That would have been a relatively routine completion for a first down.
Kenny Royal deep. Hunter Smith hangs this one up. Fair catch called for and made at about the 25-yard line. 3:46 to play in the first quarter of a tie game. Hey, we'll remind you, get a complete NFL wrap-up, including recaps and analysis from every CBS game booth. You'll find it all online tonight at CBSSports.com. from the 24, play fake. Orton with time, gonna go deep. Wide open again is Brandon Marshall. You can't get more wide open than Brandon Marshall has been on 2 touchdown catches today.
And that time it's D'Angelo Hall still standing at the 9-yard line with his hands on his hips, trying to figure out what the heck went wrong here. And I'm sure Orton can't believe it when he looks up and sees a guy that wide open. Now that's Fred Smoot in pursuit from behind, but D'Angelo Hall is over on this side, and you can see Hall's just playing zone. He's running off. He's in a trail position the whole way. Where was the safety?
Extra point is good. Brandon Marshall has 2 catches for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Denver, much to Jim Zorn's disbelief, is back up by a touchdown. It's a Denver defense that came into the game #1 in the NFL in pass defense, allowing 159 yards a game. They've allowed Denver 124, and we're 3.5 minutes away from the end of the first quarter. Cartwright. Penalty marker flies as he gets wrestled out of bounds at about the 23-yard line.
Well, there's a lot of arguing going on over on the Redskins sideline, trying to figure out what went wrong.
Pete Morelli's our referee.
Holding. Number 95 of the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
All right, let's take a look at it from up top. And here's Marshall right here. All right, here is D'Angelo Hall. Here's the safety that Hall is expecting help from over the top. But watch the safety go up and jump the underneath route. Hall turns Marshall loose, and there comes the safety diving up underneath, and you've got an untouched receiver. It's one thing to get beat physically. That happens. But to make it that easy by just mental errors drives everyone nuts.
That's right side. Across the 10 to the 15-yard line. We get our first NFL Today report from James Brown in New York. JB.
Greg and Dan, on this Pittsburgh kickoff, take a look at Bernard Scott looking for daylight, finds a couple of nice windows of opportunity here. And after that, he's off to the races. 96 yards to pay dirt. The holder botched the snap on the point after, so the Bengals are up over Pittsburgh 6-3 late in the first. Back to Greg Gumbel, Dan Deardorff.
JB, he was so untouched, he looked like a Denver Broncos receiver today. 2nd and 4. Nets again. Stacked up at the 15-yard line by Marcus Thomas and Elvis Morris.
And Brandon Marshall, life is good when you're left as alone as he has been. Pretty astonishing to just find yourself that wide open on 2 separate occasions.
I think Christmas has come a little early for Mr. Marshall.
Well, the Marshall plan is working just fine. Not so well in terms of the Redskins secondary. 2 mental errors have led to 2 touchdowns.
And on 3rd down, Campbell will have to throw for it. Stepping up, throwing, sideline, got his man and out of bounds close to the 40-yard line is Antoine Randall. That'll be a first down for the Redskins.
Well, Antoine Randall can do so many things, and you see him just break out of that cluster. And that is how a guy ends up being wide open. So we see right here that it's not just a case of the Redskins making mistakes. That's why that cluster formation with guys heading off in all different directions from a defensive secondary position, that is just a maneuver that can leave a guy wide open on a repeated basis.
Campbell and the Redskins 4 on 5 on 3rd down, with Campbell going to throw again down the sideline. Santana Moss, and he overthrew him.
Oh, and Andre Goodman, he got caught looking in the backfield. Oh, he is a fortunate guy headed back to the Denver huddle, because he is beaten by a good 3 yards by Santana Moss, and Jason Campbell just can't deliver him the football. And right now, Andre Goodman is going, thank you, thank you, thank you.
2nd and 10. Betts. across the 45. Pulls his way out to about the 47-yard line. And let's get another report from James Brown in New York City. JB?
All right, Greg, Mark Sanchez and Jericho Cotchery hooking up on a 5-play, 61-yard drive. That 7-yarder there puts New York up 10-7. Jets looking to try to get back in the playoff race. Greg Gumbel, Dan Dierdorf.
Thank you, JB. 3rd and 4 facing Jason Campbell here. He'll work from the shotgun. Moving up, throwing over the middle and off the hands of the tight end Fred Davis. Campbell putting up a fuss with referee Pete Morelli, but he just overthrew that.
Well, I don't know if he thought that Davis got held or what, but the reality is, you're right, the throw wasn't where it should have been. The ball just sails. Yes, that was catchable, but to a wide open receiver, just get it down a little bit and it becomes pretty routine.
Eddie Royal deep. Fair catch called for, and he makes the catch at about the 13-yard line. While we have a moment, a reminder for you. Voting for the 2010 Pro Bowl has begun. Send your favorite player to South Florida for the Pro Bowl game by voting online or with your mobile phone at NFL.com/Pro Bowl. You vote, they play.
Now, Jason Campbell started out the game being pretty accurate, but his last 4 throws, 3 of them have just not been where he wanted them. That one just got away from him, and Jim Zorn just trying to get him to calm down a little bit, and we've got a long way to go.
Sean Marino still on his feet to about the 20-yard line. London Fletcher making the stop. How about London Fletcher? You think, let's see, what has happened to the St. Louis Rams ever since he departed the premises?
They have been on a downhill slide. Everywhere he's gone, London Fletcher has gotten it done, whether it was with the Rams in the Super Bowls, in Buffalo, and now with the Redskins. And a college teammate, by the way, of Josh McDaniels.
We are winding down the first quarter. That's the end of one. Denver leading it by a score of 14-7. We'll return to FedEx Field right after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 44. Welcome back to FedEx Field for the start of the second quarter. Greg Gumbel, Dan Dierdorf. Denver with the ball and a 14-7 lead from their own 20-yard line. Orton for Scheffler. And Scheffler across the 25 to about the 27-yard line and a first down.
Well, you know, coming into today, this is the #1 ranked pass defense in the league. Deshaun Jackson for the Eagles torched them on a long play, but by and large they've been pretty consistent until we saw this display in the first quarter today. Brandon Marshall on a pair of long touchdowns, 40 and then 75 yards, unattended back in the secondary.
And Eddie Royal is back there taking the direct. No, it's Sean Marino with the direct snap.
Well, that's Denver's version of the Wildcat. They call it the Wild Horses. And Sean Marino gets back there. Of course, Washington looked like they weren't the least bit surprised about this. Good job of beating blocks and flowing down the line of scrimmage. Everybody's doing it, as they say. Of course, McDaniels was in New England and saw it firsthand when Miami unleashed it against the Patriots last year.
Lamont Jordan making his first appearance. The pass comes back to Royal this way. Royal to the 35 and out to about the 39-yard line. And we have a penalty marker down on the near side of the field.
A couple flags down. There's one on the near side. There's one over in the middle. And you see that
ineligible man downfield. Number 73, the offense.
That's called on Chris Cooper, the right guard.
Greg Blash, defensive coordinator for the Redskins,
who's having to do some coordinating with his defensive backs.
He will be accepted. 10 yards. Still, second down.
Probably saying to himself, I thought sure we were practicing covering receivers all week.
And I'm sure they did, and you got to give some credit. First of all, the first one was just a sensational route run by Brandon Marshall where he did that stutter and got Carlos Rogers to bite on it. The second one was just a complete mental breakdown in the secondary.
Now they've got Orton facing a 2nd and 21. Over the middle. That's complete and decked at the 20-yard line after the catch is Jabbar Gaffney. Make it.
Rocky McIntosh delivers the hit. Of course, this is when it's fun to be a linebacker. You're just sitting at home, and here he's coming right at you.
My mistake. That's Brandon Marshall with the catch.
You don't even have to move. The target is coming right at you, and you get a chance to put one on him. And that rattled Marshall.
3rd and 17. And we get a whistle before the snap of the ball. And a timeout called by Washington.
Timeout, Washington.
12:40 to play here in the first half. 14-7 Denver. We'll be right back. 12 minutes, 40 seconds to play here in the first half, and a 3rd and 16 facing Kyle Orton and the Denver Broncos.
The Redskins took that timeout. They had 12 guys on the field and smartly spotted it and called a timeout.
Orton, pump fake. Gonna go deep. Look how wide open Eddie Royal is, and he missed him.
I don't remember the last time I saw a game with this many wide open receivers. The safety back there is Kareem Moore, and that is Moore, number 41. He even tries to grab Eddie Royal when he went by and did get a hand on his shoulder pad, but Kyle Orton just puts way too much air under that ball.
That's his first incompletion of the day. Santana Moss deep for the punt. And they take it at the 34 and decked right away by David Bruton, the rookie out of Notre Dame.
Well, I'm going to take a wild guess that the secondary and Greg Blosh are going to have themselves a little talk over on the Redskins sideline.
Little confab.
Whoa. They are just biting on way too many either pump fakes, stutter steps, the wrong route, you name it. And it has really fallen apart back in the Redskins secondary, and they're fortunate it's not 21-7.
As it is, Jason Campbell starts from his own 34. Campbell throwing, underthrows on the far side of the field, intended for Randall L, incomplete. A Wednesday on Showtime. JB, Phil Simms, Chris Collinsworth, Warren Sapp come your way with the Emmy Award-winning Inside the NFL, cable's longest-running show, Inside the NFL, Wednesday on Showtime. We're talking with Jason Campbell about that patchwork offensive line. He was talking about Levi Jones. He said, I've talked with Levi, and he's a little nervous. Second and 10. Betts looking for running room. Doesn't find any. It'll be 3rd and about 10.
Well, that's something every defense loves. Anytime you get that running back turned completely sideways, the odds of it being a successful play diminish greatly. Well, this has been a case of a hot start for Jason Campbell, and then recently a little bit of inaccuracy in his throws. He needs to get a receiver and deliver a strike. I think he needs that for his confidence.
Cartwright in the backfield on 3rd and 10. High snap. Campbell under pressure. Got rid of it on the screen. And Cartwright across the 40 to off the 41-yard line. That won't be nearly enough for a first down.
Well, good job that time by Denver of realizing they had yards to give and sit back and let the screen happen and then flow to the football. But I would think that the Washington defense sure could have used more than a 3 and out in terms of trying to gather themselves.
high and not a terribly long punt. And this bounces at about the 30-yard line and is down to 31. 10:56 to play in the first half. Right now it's Denver by a touchdown. We'll be back. Back at FedEx Field, Dan, every coach goes into a game thinking he can rely on something from his team. And in Jim Zorn's case, he thinks he can at least rely on his secondary.
And why not? Ranked #1 in the league. And during that timeout, great job of leadership by D'Angelo Hall, who grabbed LaRon Landry there, number 30, and Dowdy, and all of them just trying to say, let's get after this now. All right, okay. We've made some mistakes. We're only a touchdown behind, but we have got to tighten it up. You see they only give up 160 yards a game, which is awfully good in a pass-happy league.
Orton. Deep. This time Marshall has a man with him, and it is incomplete. D'Angelo Hall made the play, but it is ruled incomplete back at the 20-yard line.
And he wants his coach to challenge. Wow, that puts your coach in a tough spot. The official was right there. I will give him credit, at least in being in great position. Let's see, does D'Angelo Hall control this ball and hold on to it after he hits the ground? I think you can see right there that the ball was loose and it was touching the ground. And that's it. See, look where this official is. You can't be in a better spot to see it. And he rules it an incompletion.
No challenge flag, second down. Here's Moreno. And Moreno tripped up at the line of scrimmage, falls forward near the 35-yard line.
And that was a good job by Jim Zorn of not being influenced by a player and relying on either saw it himself or he got some good advice from the press box, one or the other. But that official was spot on in terms of being in the right place to see and make the call.
3rd and 7. Take the pass. The run goes nowhere. Brian Orakpo, the first-round draft pick out of Texas, making the stop.
Well, Jim Zorn and everyone involved in the Redskins organization really happy with Orakpo. He has been everything they asked for and more. The 13th pick in the draft. He's got 5.5 sacks, and he's their strong side linebacker. He is a player.
What did Jim Zorn say? He is a great first-round pick. Santana Moss from inside his own 20, looking for running room on the near side, dragged down as he crossed the 25-yard line by Robert Ayers.
Boy, the crowd reacting, they saw Moss's body twist and thought it's got to either be a horse collar or a face mask.
Now we get a late flag thrown.
And it's a face mask. And how do you miss that? Why does it take so long to get a flag on something as obvious as that? Robert Ayers almost ripped off his helmet.
Here's Pete Morelli.
Personal foul, face mask, kicking team, 15-yard penalty, first down.
The penalty is on the rookie Ayers, and this will set the Redskins up in pretty good field position when we come back. 9.5 minutes to play in the first half. Washington trailing by 7. By the time the quarterback gets the call, it's come a long way, Dan.
Well, it starts with Sherman Lewis up in the box. He then goes down to Sherman Smith, the offensive coordinator, and it's Smith who's actually in Campbell's ear.
This is Quentin Ganther, second-year running back out of Utah.
So I think everyone aware of the fact that Jim Zorn was relieved of his play-calling duties, and that was assigned to Sherman Lewis. And Sherman Smith, he is the guy that is actually passing it all along, and that is the voice that Jason Campbell hears. And so there's some continuity there, and Jim Zorn's still a part of making the game plan, still vitally involved in this offense, but he is not going to play.
Ganther again in the backfield on 2nd and 7. Short drop. Campbell pulls it down. On the move. Still on the move. midfield, 45, and down short of the 40-yard line. We were talking with Jim Zorn yesterday about how Jason Campbell has to learn how to slide.
Watch this block by Quentin Ganther. He's number 35. He's going to come into your screen right there. That is how you stop a blitzer. Stand him up and then stay with him. And that creates and stops the penetration and the flow from the middle so that Jason Campbell can run. What an outstanding job by this kid from Utah in his only in his second year. That was perfect.
Campbell had a career-high 40 yards rushing last week against Atlanta. Campbell on the move, short pass, complete. Ganther out of the backfield, inside the 30 to the 25, first down Redskins.
Hey, Ganther, he deserved that. After that last block, he deserved to get in and get a reception. 2 back-to-back plays. Well, there's nobody to block, so you know what? I'll just make myself a target. Campbell finds him, and then look at him finish. It appears to me that contact is not something that Quentin Ganther has at least been concerned about.
This is Ganther on the carry, and this will go nowhere. In fact, he may have lost a yard on the play. Elvis Doomerville with the stop.
Quentin Ganther, not a stranger to taking a lick or handing one out either. He's deserved a blow on the sideline.
On 2nd and 10 now, Cartwright has relieved Ganther in the backfield. Campbell pulls it down twice and now throws to no one in the middle of the field. Broncos want a flag, and there isn't one.
Well, it was close enough, and it was. He had a receiver within about 5 or 6 yards, and you could make the case that he got hit as he was throwing. So Elvis Doomerville was in there applying the pressure as he so often does.
Number 18, there was no receiver in the area. 10-yard penalty and loss of down. Third down.
Pete Morelli comes in late with the call. I thought Morelli was going to give Campbell the benefit of the doubt. Let's see how close someone actually is. All right, he pulls it down.
Pulls it down twice.
Oh, I was wrong. I said there was someone within 5 or 6 yards. I was incorrect.
You meant 5 or 6 miles.
Yeah, I was at least 10 yards away, if not more. That was a good job of them going back, talking to the officials downfield.
3rd and 20. And we get a whistle and a brief stop.
I'm going to have to sit out 2 plays for being that wrong. I'm going to punish myself.
There's wrong, and then there's wrong. This quick pass, and that is behind Fred Davis, the intended receiver. And that'll bring Hunter Smith and Sean Sweezum on. Now, we were watching Sweezum in the pregame, and he was kicking 60-yarders with ease, but it was in the other direction.
It was going the other way. You look at the streamers on the goalposts, they're not doing anything at all. They're just hanging there. So I don't think Jim Zorn's signaling for a timeout.
Team timeout.
And so Washington uses its 2nd timeout here in the first half. 6:39 to play. We'll be back. These photos taken by our own Andy Lepuznik of our crew. Nice job. Sweezum, career high is 52. This will be a 53-yarder. He has plenty of leg. And now we're going to go into punt formation with Hunter Smith. And Hunter Smith is looking for a receiver. Throwing the other way, wide open, inside the 5 to the end zone is Mike Sellers. Touchdown. the day.
Wow. Well, Danny Smith, the special teams coordinator, can be pretty happy with himself over that. You know, you'll see that happen a lot of times when it's bang, bang. But to take a timeout preceding it and give the defense 2 minutes over there to try to figure out what might be happening.
They went into the shift prior to the timeout and still made it work. Extra point is good when you're 2 and 6. What the heck, huh? 6.5 to play. First half, we're tied at 14.
Watch Hunter Smith when he rolls to the right. Nobody from Denver is able to get upfield and get in his face. That's their biggest failing here. Look at this. Everyone from Washington pins the Denver guys on the line. That takes a long time to set up. And then on the backside, Mike Sellers totally disregarded. But you've got to get upfield. You can't let the holder, in this case Hunter Smith, just stand back there. And Hunter Smith, remember, wasn't able to punt last week because of that bad groin. Something tells me that he's feeling just fine right now.
And Jim Zorn, the old quarterback, probably gets a little kick out of that. That old quarterback didn't get such a big kick out of it.
No, if you subtract Eddie Royal and his couple of returns this year, the Denver special teams have been an issue since opening day.
This one comes down to the 15-yard line. It comes down to Lamont Jordan, and what a hit by Lorenzo Alexander, who forced a fumble earlier.
He sure did. He knocked the ball away from Pharrell Buckhalter.
Lorenzo Alexander came roaring down the sideline. Lamont Jordan was at the other end. Listen.
That is what we used to call lowering the boom. What? Man, what a shot again by Lorenzo Alexander, who's having himself quite a first half on special teams and from the line of scrimmage.
And to add insult to injury, a penalty now backs the Broncos up to their own 10-yard line. We're tied at 14. Moreno, right side, turning the corner. And Rocky McIntosh makes the stop.
Well, Hunter Smith not afraid to find himself in the middle of a gadget play. Here he is. This was opening weekend against the New York Giants, and he takes it on in. And here he today, rather than run it, he even pump fakes it, but given way too much time to stand back behind the line, finds Mike Sellers. Hunter Smith, he's a jack of all trades.
That's his first career pass, and he throws his first career touchdown pass with it. Andre Carter with the stop.
Andre Carter with a tackle.
Well,
word from the sideline.
Oh, I'm sorry, Greg.
Word from the sideline, Dan, is that Hunter Smith wants to take part in the quarterback challenge.
Well, there's a quarterback challenge going on in Washington. Almost on a weekly basis.
3rd and 3. Orton with time over the middle. Stokely across the 30. And fighting for more yardage, but the play was whistled down at about the 32 or 33-yard line.
All right, there's Brandon Stokely. You see him. That just looks like Wes Welker, doesn't it? Just such a nice move, working on Justin Tryon. Albert Hainsworth out at the defensive end position, which is really kind of strange to me because that puts him up against the best offensive lineman of Denver, Ryan Clady. To me, that's kind of wasting Hainsworth, putting him out there on Clady, who's one of the best tackles in football.
Moreno shifting gears out across the 40 to the 43. Very close to another first down. Speaking of Albert Hainsworth, walked into his meeting yesterday morning with us as Reed Doughty is slow getting off. the deck.
Yeah, Reed Doughty is still crouched down. He has not made it up to his feet. There he comes up, and he's holding an arm.
Reed Doughty is the replacement for Chris Horton, the starting safety who went on IR with an injured toe. Here's Albert Hainsworth. Walked into our meeting yesterday morning with maybe the biggest diamond necklace I've ever seen, Dan.
Outside of a museum, I've never seen that many diamonds in one place before. I know you can go to the museums here in D.C. and look at the Hope Diamond and all this. Albert might ask how much that is. maybe I could buy it.
Hey, Albert, how many carats is that? I don't know, 80, 90?
Greg's not making that up. That's exactly what he said.
What he said. And I believe our collective response was humming.
Well, you can see Reed Doughty clenching his left hand, opening it up, trying to get the feeling back in that arm. Hopefully it's just a stinger that goes away. The Redskins are really thin in the secondary.
He comes out. Kareem Moore, number 41, replaces him. It is a first down for the Denver Broncos. This is Moreno to the 45, a pickup of 2. It'll be 2nd and 8.
Noshawn Moreno is the leading rusher among rookies in the National Football League, and again, he seems to be a really nice fit. You talk to Josh McDaniels, he talks about his, you don't normally talk about rookies and use the word leadership, but he said he's just got natural leadership ability, personality. He was an instant locker room hit.
Quick pass, Eddie Royal with the catch, midfield, and to the 47-yard line, and that appears to be just short of another first down. Kareem Moore making the tackle.
What a nice job of Kyle Orton throwing the ball away from the defender. Trying to take a look at this spot. Pete Morelli's called for the chains to come in. To get down there.
It is a first down.
That was awfully close. That was by a grain or two.
A grain.
That was.
Reed Doughty, by the way, is checked back into the lineup.
A lot of times you'll get a stinger like that, and I know it sounds strange, but your arm will just, it'll either go completely numb or it feels like you're getting stuck by 1,000 pins, and then normally within about 30 seconds or so it passes.
It's happened to be many a time here in the booth.
Yes, I'm sure. I'll give you one at halftime if you want.
Appreciate that.
Just so you get the flavor of it.
2:50 to play in the first half. Orton, all kinds of time, running out of it now and throws it away. 2nd and 10, 2:42 to play. We'll say this about Albert Hainsworth. He appears to have fun playing the game.
Well, he is a prideful guy. He's a huge man. He's a remarkable athlete for someone his size. His ability to move on his feet and just imposing strength. Albert is, if he's not the best defensive tackle in football, when he's going, I don't know who is.
Orton throws far side, and that's complete to Eddie Royal, and Royal inside the 35, and that'll be a first down. Clock continuing to move as we come up on 2.5 to play in the first half.
And if Eddie Royal and Brandon Marshall share one thing, it is their dangerousness after they catch the ball. These two guys will just not catch and go down. Watch this nice little move right there. Back to the inside. Doughty slips. And again, it is so many yards after the catch by both 19 and 15.
The pitch from Moreno. Left side to about the 32. And with that, we'll come to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here at FedEx Field. Broncos and Redskins are tied. Denver knocking on the door. On 2nd and 9. Orton right through the hands of Moreno.
I love the ability to accessorize. I mean, check out the necklaces. That's just that. It makes the outfit.
And you know, you can't find those hats just anywhere.
Now the one on the right, this might be Albert's necklace over there on the right. Huh?
11th play of this drive, 3rd and 9. Redskin fans on their feet. Orton over the middle and has his man close to the 20-yard line. That's Tony Scheffler for a first down.
Well, that's exactly in tight coverage where you have to put the football, because Scheffler's going to go down here and he's just going to run the curl and stop right here. But look at the ball right between the 8s. Almost impossible for the defender to get a hand on it. It wasn't high, it wasn't low. It was exactly where it needed to be from Kyle Orton.
That's 5 first downs on this drive by the Broncos. They've moved to the Washington 21. Clock continuing to move, coming up on 75 seconds to play in the first half. Orton looking, corner, Marshall. Incomplete. Play is made, looked like by Fred Smoot.
Well, that was a good job of coverage by the Redskins. They had Marshall over the top and they had him underneath. And that was a throw from Kyle Orton that really trying to get it to a guy who's double covered. That's having faith in a receiver who's 6'4".
Fred Smoot elevated.
He certainly did, but that was just, now that is what the Redskins practiced all week in that scenario. Double covering Brandon Marshall.
On 2nd and 10, Orton to throw again. Over the middle, here's Marshall. Marshall to about the 11.
Again, we see Kyle Orton in this short passing game just being precise with where he delivers the football. That was, again, it just doesn't go down on the stat sheet as any big deal, but it was a perfectly placed football into the hands of Brandon Marshall.
Denver burns a timeout here. They have 2 remaining, 52 seconds on the clock.
Well, this is another physical game for the Denver Broncos, who've been on a bit of a run. A couple of weeks ago, it was Baltimore, Ed Reed putting it on Noshan Moreno. And then take a look at that. That's Buckbuster getting dropped. And that time, Brandon Marshall. That might be the hit of the day on Lamont Jordan by Lorenzo Alexander. Now, Denver lost those 2 physical games to both Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And right now they find themselves in a hard-hitting one again, and that's no surprise. You knew that Jim Zorn's team was not, they were not going to roll over and play dead.
They're testing the NFL's #1 red zone defense right here. 3rd and 1. Moreno inside the 10. It'll be 1st and goal. Clock continues to move. 44 seconds and counting.
And again, Denver is in good position with 2 timeouts left.
The football just inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal. Noshan Moreno in the backfield with Orton who will throw. Stepping up. Batted down by Hainsworth. Stops the clock with 20 seconds to play.
Well, Albert didn't leave the line of scrimmage, but he stayed with it in terms of just looking for the quarterback. You kind of had a suspicion. Denver overloaded the left so much that time that it really left a lot of green space over to the right, and that's where they tried to go.
Sixteenth play of this drive. Pump fake. Orton back of the end zone, overthrows everything.
Well, he threw that away. That's all there is to that. Eddie Royal was blanketed. Well, 2 good plays back to back for the Washington defense. Eddie Royal just coming across on a shallow cross, but you can see right there, good job of LaRon Landry waiting for him. D'Angelo Hall as well.
3rd and goal.
17 plays. Offensive coordinators dream of uprising.
Orton steps up on the move, cut from behind and goes down at the 7-yard line. Orakpo made the stop.
When Orton gets up, he's walking a little gingerly. Again, credit the Redskins secondary. They made mistakes earlier, and that is a really awkward landing for Kyle Orton. Right, he gets that right, and then the left. Both of his legs get caught underneath on that tackle.
So Orton limping to the sideline, and Orakpo was also slow getting off the turf.
Kyle Orton had an ankle problem last year in Chicago, and there is Denver's backup quarterback, Chris Sims. That was the type of a tackle from behind, and Orton with his legs caught underneath. That is easy to see how he comes up limping.
So Matt Prater will try to give the Broncos the lead here with 9 seconds to play. This is a 24-yarder. And that kick is good. So Kyle Orton going to limp off to the locker room ahead of the rest of the team as Denver grabs a 3-point lead.
And again, the way he went down, it's hard to tell if it was an ankle, a knee, or a combination of both. And it's hard to even tell on either leg. He got both of his legs caught underneath him very, very awkwardly. Again, another look at it. There goes the right ankle. There goes the left ankle. The left knee gets flexed. And thankfully, you could see Kyle Orton was able to pull his foot up off of the ground so it wasn't caught in the turf, which could have really been catastrophic. He was really, really lucky that he was able to pull that leg and that foot up off of the ground and get it up to where it would move more freely.
Meanwhile, Denver, which totaled 17 points in its last 2 games, has 17 here in the first half.
And keep in mind, if it wasn't for an overthrown ball to Eddie Royal, Denver would have 24 points.
So something to keep an eye on when the second half begins will be the status of Kyle Orton. Meanwhile, low skimming kick picked up by Rock Cartwright. And as time runs down here in the first half, Cartwright looking for running room and is knocked out of bounds at about the 35-yard line, and that'll do it. Couple of long touchdown passes and a field goal. And the Denver Broncos lead at 17-14. We're back to the Spread halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. This is the NFL on CBS. Back to FedEx Field, everyone. 17-14 Denver at halftime. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf. It was quite the first half, and there was no lack of big plays, were there?
No, boy, did this thing come out hot and heavy from the very beginning, and it started off with really Denver making the big plays because of mistakes or good moves or whatever you want to say. This was a great move by Brandon Marshall. This was just a mental error in the secondary of the Redskins as they just turned him loose. Not a Redskin within about 10 yards of it, and then on a fake field goal, Hunter Smith drifts out and finds Mike Sellers all the way on the other side of the field. But what we're all waiting to see, watch Kyle Orton, first the right leg and then the left ankle gets caught underneath, and we're waiting for him to come back out. No word yet from the Denver locker room.
Yeah, he has come back onto the field, but we don't have word yet from the sideline, although he's putting his helmet on and he's looking every bit like a quarterback who's going to start the second half.
He's moving pretty well, and he was, he was limping, but it's not like he had to be helped off the field or anything. He actually jogged off the field, but it was a very awkward tackle, and both legs were compromised, I thought, as he went underneath. If he comes back and he plays in the second half with no ill effects, Greg, he's very fortunate.
We started this day talking about a team battling losing streaks on both sides of the field. The Broncos have lost 2 straight. The Redskins have lost 4 in a row. And I thought, other than those 2 busted plays, the Redskins have accounted very well for themselves today.
Yes, and they've got, and that has to be what Jim Zorn talked to them about at halftime was, look, guys, you've made a game out of this. We should be winning handily here, and he's got to be pleased with their effort. You just got to be smart. That's all.
Meanwhile, on the sideline, Chris Sims, who has yet to throw a pass in competition this season, taking some snaps on the sideline while Kyle Orton has removed his helmet. So it looks like Chris Sims.
Well, you saw the handshakes there. It gives every indication. It looks like Chris Sims is going to start the second half.
Reminder, as always, this action coming to you in high definition here on CBS.
Now that's subject to change. The Redskins get a possession first, and we'll see what happens. But you saw Chris Sims getting some handshakes, some well wishes from teammates.
Rock Cartwright is deep for the Redskins, and look at this kick. Now the chance this one is going to be returned. It sails over the end zone, and they'll come out to the 20-yard line. First half numbers, Dan.
Well, you can see a real decided advantage. That is a lot of yardage on the left-hand side. 269 yards of total offense in the first half for Denver, but also pretty productive on the other side as well. Almost 200 yards for the Redskins. 10 first downs to only 11. So it again, pretty decent first half for the Redskins as well. Although Jason Campbell just hasn't struck me from, say, his first 4 or 5 throws from being really accurate. He's just been a little off with his throws on most of them.
Started off the game throwing short, throwing quickly. And he starts with a shotgun here. Little screen to the tight end, Fred Davis. And Davis still on his feet out to the 30-yard line, and that looks like it'll be a first down.
Well, that's a really easy way for a quarterback to start when this is all the tougher a throw you have to make, although that's a nice job by Jason Campbell. It pays to be tall when you got to float it over a defender like that. He did a nice job getting it to Davis. And again, we touched on this earlier, but what an upside for Fred Davis. This guy is going to be, when Chris Cooley comes back, what a 2 tight end set they're going to have.
Here's Ladell Betts. Hits the line of scrimmage, gets no further. Brian Dawkins up from the secondary.
Well, Brian Dawkins told us, talking about playing in his 14th year, he said, when I can't bring the thunder anymore, I'll quit. Well, this is bringing the thunder. That when you make the stick and you make the hit and the ball carrier doesn't get a half a yard after that contact, you're still bringing it.
Looks like we have DJ Williams down. We'll take a break and come right back. DJ Williams up off the ground and off the field. Sitting on the sideline. He's been replaced by Wesley Woodyard, 2nd and 10. Pass out to the far side is complete to Santana Moss. Let's go back on yet another big hit in this game, Dan.
Well, yeah, DJ, he's going to come into your screen from the right, and right there he hits his head on the back of Devin Thomas, the Redskin receiver, and I don't think he saw it. It really kind of snapped his head to one direction.
DJ Williams, the leading tackler for the Broncos coming into this game.
Well, on a defense with 8 new starters, he is one of the holdovers for a very good reason.
3rd and 7. Ty Law covering the slot receiver for Denver, number 26. Campbell. Hit from behind. Elvis Dumerville had help putting him down. He and Darrell Reed.
The guy is only 5 foot. Well, they list him at 5'11". There he is right at the bottom, number 92. And again, he's initially blocked very well by Stefan Heyer. And then Dumerville gets in to help clean up, but the real work was done inside. And that was Darrell Reed, who looked to be the first one to get the wrap up.
Hunter Smith kicks this one away. Nice high kick. Eddie Royal, fair catch, called for and made at the 27-yard line. Hey, Tuesday on a new NCIS Los Angeles, the team must infiltrate a terrorist group, but once they get in, can they get out? Tuesday, only CBS. Onto the field to quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Number 2, Chris Sims, seeing his first action of the season in his 7th season out of Texas.
Well, that was a pretty good job by Kyle Orton of faking everybody out, looking like a guy that was going to come in, moving around pretty well.
35 to about the 36-yard line where D'Angelo Hall makes the stop.
Well, it is nice to see Chris Sims back out on a football field. The injuries that he's had in the past, the serious surgeries that he had to undergo, and it must feel awfully good. He doesn't like the circumstances with Kyle Orton, the #1 guy, being injured, but there's got to be a sense of satisfaction. You have persevered and you're back out playing the game.
2nd and 1, Moreno spinning, looking for a first down, and looks like he has it at about the 38.5-yard line.
Well, Chris Sims back in 06, he was quarterbacking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The left-hander. And that is where he injured his spleen. And again, at the time, no one realized how serious it was. Welcome back, Chris.
Chris, of course, the son of our friend and colleague, Phil Sims, and despite that, a very nice young man.
You're going to hear about it.
First down. Incomplete. Buckhalter out of the backfield. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, we still don't have word from the Denver Broncos as to Kyle Orton and exactly what his injury is. With a quarterback, the first question you ask is, not just can you make the injury worse by playing, but can you protect yourself? Can you move around enough to protect yourself? And that's, if you can't do it, then you can't play.
Sims complete to Gaffney, and Gaffney on the move. We have a penalty marker down on the near side.
Penalty marker on the field.
Pass interference. Number 19, the offense. 10-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Penalty is on Eddie Royal of the Broncos.
Well, that's some sort of a pick that a lot of times you get away with, and this time the officials saw it and called it. So now Sims is going to find himself with his first, since his brief return, long distance conversion. 2nd and forever.
While he was in there, Orton 11 of 18 for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sure, Chris Sims would love to see some of that wide open receiver stuff that Orton said. They're going to run it with Moreno right side. Dodging tacklers and on the move. 40, 45, and out off to about the 47-yard line, and that's a pretty good pickup on 2nd and 1.
Oh, how disappointing is that for the Redskins to have a 2nd and 20 and then just get a simple sweep like this. Containment is broken, lost. The inside pursuit isn't there. Daniel Graham seals it off with a good block and great hustle downfield. Tyler Columbus and the offensive line of Denver getting it done.
Brings up a 3rd and 2, and we are told that Kyle Orton's return is doubtful with an injured ankle. 3rd and 2 now for Sims and the Broncos. He'll throw for it, and he'll complete it to Brandon Marshall across midfield to the 48-yard line of the Washington Redskins, and a first down.
Well, I'm not inside the Denver huddle, but I'm assuming they have a lot of confidence in Chris Sims because he is a capable thrower. He has a good arm, a good tight spiral. We saw an example of it there, and I'm sensing they've been around Chris Sims enough to know. We've gone enough practice days all the way through camp and everything. I'm sure the confidence level in the Denver huddle is high.
First down now in Washington territory. He'll fake the pitch. Sims on the move, looking, and throws it away. It'll be 2nd and 10. Andre Carter giving chase.
We're being told that DJ Williams, the inside linebacker for Denver, that he's got a neck injury, but that his return is probable. And that would be good news for the Denver D.
Here's DJ. looking none too happy to be on the sideline at the moment. But again, the offense is on the field. From the shotgun. Sims running out of time, gets rid of it, and went right past Jamar Gaddis.
Well, give some credit to the Redskins there. After about 6 seconds, Sims still couldn't find much of anybody open. Greg Blash had to be pleased with that. You can see Chris have to move around a little bit, but again, his movement is always to try to find somebody open. Pretty athletic guy.
3rd and 10. Sims with time running out of it now. On the move. Looking, throws, and complete on the near side. No. Out of bounds and juggled out of bounds by Brandon Stokely.
I don't know who Brandon Stokely is talking to, but he came back and tried to make himself a target for Sims. Even if he'd have caught it there, they were still good 5 or 6 yards short of a first down. Wow. I sure didn't see him juggling the ball. I can now understand the look on his face.
Kick is away, no flag. And the ball is out of bounds on the far side of the field.
Mitch Berger just can't believe he didn't draw a flag.
Timeout.
Mitch Berger, number 17, getting the kick away, hitting the deck, and not seeing anything yellow around. Tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes has unearthed a lot of big stories, but when it comes to dinosaurs, this could be the biggest. Tonight on 60 Minutes, 16-yard punt has set the Redskins up at their own 32-yard line. And running room up the middle for Liddell Betts out to the 40-yard line, a pickup of about 8, and it'll be 2nd and 2.
A good job there by the Redskin offensive line, and boy, has this group undergone a bunch of changes. It has been a revolving door. We're going to try to give you an idea. Levi Jones, after a bunch of changes and injuries, ends up the only consistency has been there at left guard and center. You're seeing all the different people that have started at right guard, and now the changes at right tackle.
Meanwhile, Liddell Betts taking advantages of nice blocking on the left side across midfield and into Denver territory.
That's the 5th different starting combination this season. Stefan Heyer was over at left tackle, and of course 2 really good players in Chris Samuels and Randy Thomas, both on injured reserve. They went down early.
And when all kinds of changes happen up front, Dan, that doesn't serve the running game or the passing game well.
No, but they have been playing, I think, very well today.
On first down, and down goes Campbell. Back at about the 43-yard line, Andre Davis in on the quarterback.
That's just a case of Andre Davis coming on a blitz up the middle. Kenny Peterson is trying to get up. Oh, and can't do it. But right here, everybody is covered, and Andre Davis comes on a little bit of a delayed blitz, and there's no one to pick him up.
Kenny Peterson looked like he tried to plant his right foot, and his right leg just gave out.
That ball gets away from Jason Campbell.
Wow.
That's a fumble.
As they look at Kenny Peterson, let's listen to Pete Morelli.
The ruling on the field was the quarterback forward progress who was stopped.
So even though Andre Davis ended up with the football, Pete Morelli says he blew the whistle beforehand, determining that the play was over. A very fortunate break for the Redskins.
Meanwhile, 2nd and 17. For the Redskins, their own 44. That quick pass is complete to the tight end, Fred Davis. Let's go back to that play and find out if we can win the whistle blew. came after the ball was loose.
I find that remarkable that you could have felt that forward progress was over as fast as that was happening. I thought that was a fumble all the way.
3rd and 7. Campbell on the move, throws, sideline, pulled in inside the 40-yard line, and that's enough for a first down. Devin Thomas made the grab.
Well, the Redskins trying to make the most of getting a break. And that's just a flick of the wrist from Jason Campbell. And take a look at Devin Thomas making sure that his knees, he's down on his knees, he's inbounds. Well done.
Brock Cartwright now with the carry and close to the 30-yard line. And the Redskins mixing things up nicely on offense as we approach 6 minutes to play here in the 3rd.
And the Redskins offensive line, and we've documented the story about all the problems they've had and changes and either through injury or performance or whatever. And Joe Bugle, well, he's been to a couple rodeos with this franchise. They are playing themselves a darn good football game.
On 2nd and 4, Cartwright again. No place to go. Wrapped up by Andre Davis once again, joined by Barney Holiday. It'll be 3rd and 4. Redskins the only team who've gone without drafting offensive linemen in the first 2 rounds since the 01 season.
Well, the old adage, and I'm talking about decades ago, was the feeling that you could take almost anybody and convert them into an offensive lineman, that you didn't use really high draft choices. Now, the premium on quality tackles over the years has changed that philosophy.
3rd and 4, going to run it up the middle with Betts. And Betts to about the 27.5-yard line. And that's very close to a first down. We're going to get a measurement.
Yeah, they're going to have to take a look at this. This is just about on the line.
That's short. What's Jim Zorn going to do? Fans want him to go. A couple of the offensive linemen want him to go. And that's what he's going to do.
Well, he's showing faith in this patchwork group he's got.
See Washington's success on 4th down conversions. Kenny Peterson, number 90, back onto the field. There he is. 4th and 1. Cartwright in the backfield.
Oh, he's doing the hard count, trying to draw him off sides.
Here's Cartwright. Cartwright is not going to make it. Brian Dawkins led the charge.
Holding, 45. Penalty will be declined. First down, Denver.
Well, they called holding on Mike Sellers, and of course that's going to be declined. But the play side penetration by Denver killed that play from the very beginning. You just can't have somebody come upfield on you in that situation.
Denver takes over on downs at their own 30-yard line with 4:31 to play here in the 3rd quarter. And Chris Sims at quarterback for the injured Kyle Orton. The pitch from Moreno's right side across the 30 to about the 32. And let's go back to that last play.
Well, I talked about play side penetration. Watch here, 54, Andre Davis. He makes Cartwright go sideways. And then Brian Dawkins, he makes the tackle, but then as the finish to the tackle, watch him raise his right arm and come down with his elbow right in the back of the head of Rock Cartwright. That is
an exclamation point.
An unorthodox tackle attempt. Well, it wasn't an attempt, it was a tackle, but I don't. That looked a little more like MMA.
On 2nd and 8, Sims this side complete and hit immediately after the catch is Tony Scheffler by Fred Smoot.
Well, Tony Scheffler, a gifted receiver, running just such a shallow pattern, but a dead play when the defense is just sitting there like Fred Smoot was. You have no chance of turning your shoulders upfield trying to get anything positive out of that.
Third and 8. Sims this time from the shotgun. Here comes the rush, and he goes down to 25. Orakpo and Carter, the 2 sack specialists for the Washington defense.
And that a little bit of what happened to Denver in their losses to Baltimore and Pittsburgh was that they were never able to give Kyle Orton a legitimate quality pocket. And that time it was Chris Sims that had nowhere to go. When you can't step up, you have no chance as a quarterback.
Now, Jim Zorn said that we try to block punts so we don't get the return results on punts that others get.
Well, they got a return set up here.
Randall going to let the ball roll, and it takes a big Denver roll inside the 10-yard line. Comes to a stop at the 9. Not what you want out of your return man to let it go down deep. Denver's Mitch Berger just launched a 65-yard punt that has the Redskins starting from their own 9-yard line. And Jason Campbell going to give it to Betts, and Betts up the middle across the 15 to about the 16.5-yard line. This Washington running game trying to make do in the absence of Clinton Portis. Portis owns 26 100-yard rushing games and suffered a concussion a week ago in the loss at Atlanta.
And the thing about a concussion, there's Clinton right there. It's just impossible to speculate as to how long he might be out.
Campbell throwing far side and hit as soon as he caught the ball with Santana Moss. Andre Goodman with a tackle, but it's first down.
Of course, Clinton involved with Champ Bailey, the 2 principals in a highly unusual trade involving 2 players of that stature when the Redskins and the Broncos decided to swap these 2 players.
On the ground with Betts once again. And Betts across the 25 to about the 26.
You know, you don't see that many trades in the NFL, but to involve 2 premium players at the time, just really unusual. Washington had to throw in a 2nd-round pick as well. Denver used that to draft Tatum Bell, the running back, who was productive for a little bit, but he's no longer in the NFL. So it ended up being pretty much a head-to-head swap, and Champ Bailey said it best when he said, I think both teams ended up getting what they wanted.
2nd and 5, Betts again, and that good running room across the 30 to the 34, and a first down. And you know, we haven't mentioned Champ Bailey much today, but it's no surprise. They just don't throw in his direction.
No. And when you talk about Champ Bailey, you also have to throw in the possibility that one day he'll be enshrined in Canton, Ohio. And you just don't see Hall of Fame caliber players very often traded in the prime of their career.
Quinton Ganther now in the backfield on first down. And Ganther going to get the chance, and he is hit almost immediately by Andre Davis. And that appears it will be the last play here in a scoreless 3rd quarter. As the last 10 seconds wind down, these teams will exchange ends of the field, and we'll go to the 4th. It's the end of 3. 17-14 Broncos. Back to FedEx Field after this message and a word from your local station. Wide open again is Brandon Marshall. Inside the 5 to the end zone is Mike Sellers. Greg Gumbel, Dan Beardorf, our producer, Mark Wolf, our director, Bob Fishman, and the rest of our terrific CBS Sports crew. All the scoring done in the first half today. Scoreless third quarter, we start the fourth. 2nd and 9 for the Redskins. Campbell to throw. Got his man. That is caught by Malcolm Kelly. Kelly across midfield and into Denver territory.
Well, that was a good job by Malcolm Kelly, because this ball should be out in front of him. It's actually a little bit behind him. But because two Denver guys ran into one another, he had the time to make the adjustment and still turn upfield and get a real positive play out of it. That's good concentration by the young receiver.
10th different player that caught a pass from Jason Campbell today. First down. Betts. Big hole left side. 35, 30. Inside the 30 to the 29 and a first down. Ty Law made the stop.
I remember Jim Zorn telling us, I'm sorry Clinton's not playing, but we really like Liddell Betts and we really like Rock Cartwright. Now, Betts last week in the game against Atlanta, after Portis got hurt, really ran hard and ran well. So this is really kind of an extension of what he did last week, but that is just sensational blocking.
Had 15 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown in relief of Clinton Portis.
That was good old-fashioned blocking by the Redskins line.
This is Cartwright. Cartwright moves to the 25. And this offensive line, chronicle, put together bits and pieces here and there, doing a good job of it.
Well, consider, Levi Jones at left tackle, and you take a look at that again. A good day rushing, over 127. Levi Jones didn't go to camp with anybody. He was released by Cincinnati, and he wasn't even signed here until October the 20th. And there he is having to go at the critical spot of left tackle.
On 2nd and 6, the give is to Cartwright, right side, 20, 15. First down, Washington.
And right now, it's starting to look like, after a lot of leaning and pounding away, this physical Redskins team is starting to wear down the Denver defense a little bit.
What a job by Mike Sellers clearing out.
They are pinning these guys, and Josh McDaniels is well aware of the fact his guys are not getting off blocks.
Campbell from the shotgun, first down. On the move, looking, pointing, and running out of bounds inside the 15 at about the 14, maybe the 13. It'll look like a pickup of about a yard.
Well, one of the things that Jim Zorn talked to us about and talked to Jason Campbell is, when he makes the decision to run, don't mess around with, faking guys out with pumps. And when you decide you're going to go, because he really is an effective runner. He's a long strider. He covers a lot of ground. He fools people.
What a horrible slider.
Oh, he cannot slide at all. It's kind of ugly to watch.
11th play of this drive, 2nd and 8. Here's Betts. And wrapped up by Wesley Woodyard.
Well, that was a great job of running by Woodyard. Man, did he cover some ground. Well, it's all about finishing now for the Redskins. Yeah, I know a field goal would tie it, but you hate to be inside the red zone here now and settle for a field goal.
Line of scrimmage is the 18. They need the 5 for a first down. Rock Cartwright in the backfield. Play clock down to 3. Campbell to the near side, and Cartwright will get nowhere. Wrapped up by DJ Williams, and that'll bring Sweesham in the field goal unit.
Well, the Redskins have no choice but to kick the field goal, but those are the opportunities you look back on and say, wow, we were that close, and then we just had a negative play, and it really set us back.
This will be a 30-yard field goal attempt. this year, and now 11 for 11 in the field goal department. And with 10:40 to play here in the fourth quarter, Denver and Washington tied at 17. The Washington Redskins looking to snap a 4-game losing streak. Nice close, huh? Eddie Royal is deep for Denver. And here's Swisher's kick. And this one is going out of bounds. He did it again.
Out of bounds.
That is
By
going
rule,
to
the ball will be placed on the 40-yard line.
Broncos up at their
Timeout.
own 40-yard line. Pretty good field position for Chris Sims and the Denver offense. 10:40 to play here in the fourth quarter, tie game. Chris Sims in the offense from their own 40-yard line. This is no Sean Moreno for about 3. While we have a moment. Tomorrow, accidents happen, but in Miami, nothing is ever what it seems. LA Lakers, Pau Gasol. Yes, it's in the new CSI Miami tomorrow. Only CBS. And we have a player down on the field as you take a look at Sean Sweezum, who has kicked 2 out of bounds today, and Albert Hainsworth is down on the field. And appears to be in some pain.
Yes, he does.
Let's go back and see if we can see what happened to Albert on the play.
Albert's in a great deal of pain. There he is, number 92. Oh, and he's going to get attempt at a cut right there. And and then he went over the top of Russ Hochstein. Right here. I can't see anything there, but Albert is at least he's sitting up, but he was really in pain down on the ground.
Jim Zorn did tell us that in the past Albert has hobbled off the field looking like he wasn't going to return, and then once he got to the sideline decided he was.
Well, you know, sometimes that's fatigue, but here is a guy that is not very interested in putting much of any weight on that left leg. I'll never cease to be amazed by the players of today. They don't even wear thigh pads anymore. Albert doesn't even appear to be wearing knee pads.
He makes his way to the side. Kedrick Golston replaces him. Meanwhile, the Denver passing game, which totaled 193 yards in the first half, has managed -1 here in the second half. 2nd and 7. Left side, running room, first down across midfield and into Washington territory to the 46.
Oh, well done by Denver offensively. This whole line pulls and works down the line of scrimmage. Russ Hochstein, number 71, the left guard, he makes the key block. Jabbar Gaffney out in front. There's Hochstein on the right. He seals it off. Ryan Clady on the left. And again, good gap, good crease there, and Moreno takes advantage of it.
A career-high 97 yards rushing today for Moreno on 18 carries. Correll Buckhalter into the game now. First down. Sims going to throw with time and launches it deep for Brandon Marshall to the end zone. Intercepted in the end zone by D'Angelo Hall. Hall is going to run it back. 20. Laterals to LeBron Landry. And he makes his way out to the 40-yard line.
Well, Chris Sims hasn't played any meaningful football since September of 2006, and unfortunately it showed up right there.
The interception of the Chris Sims pass is the second Denver turnover of the day, and the Redskins are set up now at their own 40-yard line. Tie game, just under 9 minutes to play. Campbell steps up and goes down.
Boy, and he gets caught in a vice as well. Well, let's go back and take one more look. Play action fake by Chris Sims. He's got all the time in the world to set up. He just throws it way to the middle of the field, and there's no way Brandon Marshall can make an adjustment to it because LaRon Landry is between he and the football. Right here, I don't get it. What is D'Angelo Hall thinking? And look what he gets for making that lateral. He gets KO'd.
Second and 12. Here's Betts. Betts running room across the 45 out to about the 47 or 48 yard line.
Well, what's working against Denver right now is the statistical battle of turnovers. They have turned it over twice. Washington hasn't turned it over at all. And when you have a 2 turnover differential in a game, your chances of winning that game are like between 80 and 90%.
3rd and 2. Redskins have made a determined effort to run the football. They'll do it here with Cartwright across midfield. And a first down.
And I will venture a guess that Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator of Denver, and his entire defensive team is very surprised that the Redskins, with all their problems up on their offensive line, have been able to run the football as well as they have.
By the way, Albert Hainsworth.
There's Mike Nolan right there up in the booth.
Albert Hainsworth, sprained ankle. His return is questionable. First down. Here's Betts. Maybe a yard. Hit by Kenny Peterson.
Well, this has been a typical NFC game, NFC East game, because of how hard hitting it has been. That's a sample of what we've been seeing here through the first 3.5 quarters.
You saw Washington's rushing numbers, Dan. 154 yards rushing today. They averaged less than 100 on the season.
There'll be a big line at the Whirlpool after this.
2nd and 8. Campbell throwing over the middle. Has his man. That's complete to Santana. Or make it Antoine Randall L. Just inside the 40 and right at the first down marker.
Well, good work at both ends here. Here you see the blitz coming. So Randall L. breaks off his pattern. That's what a veteran receiver has to do. The guy lined up over him, came on a surprise blitz. Whatever pattern he was going to run, he broke it off. His sight adjustment, he and Jason Campbell on the same page.
Washington piling up the second half yardage compared with Denver as we get a measurement here. That's first down. Meanwhile, on the sideline, they retape Hainsworth's ankle, and they'll see if he can make a return or not. They wind the clock, and we come up on 6 minutes to play in regulation.
Now that's a distressed look on Albert's face. That still is very sore.
Cartwright spinning to about the 36. Well, in the absence of Clinton Portis, the combination of Cartwright and Betts has done very well today.
They've run very hard, gotten good blocking, and at least there's a good sign. Ooh, he kind of winced right there, but at least Albert is up on his feet trying to get a feel for whether or not he'll be able to go back out when the Redskins are on defense.
This is Betts to about the 31.
Boy, they are just hammering away at this front of Denver. And again, this is Liddell Betts really showed something last week. Of course, he's no kid, you know, he's been around for a while. He's been in this league for 8 years.
This third-ranked defense of the Denver Broncos gives up less than 100 yards rushing a game. Betts has gone over 100 today. And we get a whistle and a timeout called by Denver. First timeout taken by either team here in the second half. It stops the clock with 4:37 to play in the fourth. Once again, some terrific photographs taken by our Andy Lapuznik, setting the background here in Washington, D.C. 3rd and 3 for Campbell and the Redskins. Sellers in motion, the pass to the far side. That's complete to Devin Thomas. Thomas first down and more. 15, 10, still on his feet to about the 5.
Well, how is this for an individual effort by Devin Thomas? You don't move, and from there, it's up to you. 1 missed tackle, 2 missed tackles, 3 missed tackles, and finally, on the 4th attempt, he's brought down by Ty Long.
And Clinton Portis applauds. 1st and goal now for the Redskins at the 5. Betts squeezes through to about the 3.
This drive by Washington is really impressive with a variety of people involved. Cartwright and Betts with the hard running. We just saw Devin Thomas with hard running after a simple catch.
And taking some valuable time off the clock in the process. 5.5 minutes and counting.
And missed tackles start to show up late in the game when you're starting to get worn down. And again, I think this Denver defense has been taking a lot of punches from the Redskins offensively today, and it's starting to show.
Betts to maybe the 1.5. The Redskins have not lost 5 straight games since they opened the 0-1 season with 5 straight losses.
And Denver's going to take another timeout. I think the last one they took, I think Josh McDaniels took it to give his guys a breather, seeing if they could gather themselves.
Here, now they're just trying to keep some time on the clock.
Absolutely. Now he's already thinking ahead to what happens if they kick a field goal or score a touchdown.
Last 4 times out, Washington has lost to Carolina, Kansas City, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. Well, they have Dallas on the calendar next.
You saw that last graphic we just put up, that this having the other team keep the ball in the second half is nothing new to Denver. And confidence can be a fleeting thing. And right now for the Denver Broncos, I'll bet you that 6-game winning streak seems like it was a long time ago.
The last Washington drive that ended in a field goal took 7 minutes and 15 seconds off the clock. This drive, 6:08.
Well, and look at that, almost a 3-to-1 time of possession in favor of the Redskins.
3rd and goal. Denver down to 1 timeout. Betts, the deep man in the backfield. Betts. Touchdown. For the first time today, the Washington Redskins lead. point is good. 2:44 remaining. The Redskins, with a season-high 24 points, have a 24-17 lead.
And again, working the left side, Levi Jones gets in there, and they just blow a couple of the Broncos back into the end zone. The penetration, it's a little bit behind. Give Kenny Peterson credit. He worked his way upfield, but he needed some help. And just good, tough running by Ladell Betts. Man, what a game he has played.
Ladell Betts, 23 carries, 105 yards, and the go-ahead touchdown.
And now it's going to be on Chris Sims and this Denver offense. Orton's had all the reps. He's had all the practice time. And Chris Sims, without much in the way of preparation, is being asked to take his team down for a touchdown just to tie this game.
Chris Sims has played here in Washington before.
Right.
And in the postseason, too, Dan.
But those game-winning drives occurred more than 3 years ago.
Eddie Royal at his own 5. Think the pressure is on Mr. Sweezum not to kick it out of bounds here?
If Sweezum kicks this ball out of bounds, I would just keep going right up the tunnel.
Right down the middle of the field. He gets a cheer from the crowd. Eddie Royal going to run it out. 20, 25. Out to about the 26 or the 27-yard line and onto the field comes the 7-year veteran out of Texas, Chris Sims. Kyle Orton started this game at quarterback, but toward the end of the first half, on this play, watch his ankle.
He gets both his right leg and his left ankle caught very awkwardly. And Kyle Orton, it looked initially like he might start the second half, but he did not. Sims has played every snap here in the second half.
Denver with 1 timeout and 2:36 on the clock. From the shotgun. Incomplete over the middle. Daniel Graham, the intended receiver.
And Sims got hit, and he went down really awkwardly. Watch at the conclusion of this play here. Right there, Andre Carter puts a helmet right into the back of Chris Sims. And that's what forced that throw. The contact comes right before the release point, and that hurt.
Sims got rid of it, in and out of the hands of Moreno. It'll be 3rd and 10.
And I can tell you one thing, Greg. FedEx Field hasn't sounded like this in a long time.
Albert Hainsworth back into the lineup and making his presence felt.
Way to go, big guy. There he is at the top of your screen. Kind of a delayed rush on Clady. Oh. And again, that's a heavy load to land on top of you. Listen to this place.
Sims throwing, tipped incomplete. 4th down. And down on the field once again is Albert Hainsworth.
Sims trying to float this over the top, but in reality it goes right through the hands of Reed Doughty. That was very close to being an interception, and hey, give Albert a lot of credit for getting back out there and trying to make it happen.
And for the 2nd time today, Albert Hainsworth going to limp off the field. That's a carbon copy replay.
Yeah. And to a nice hand by the crowd. you appreciate a guy that got banged up and went back out and tried to give it a whirl, tried to give it a go.
4th and 10. Chris Sims needs a first down to keep a Denver drive alive. Far side of the field, overthrew his intended receiver, Brandon Marshall.
Well, I think your call was right on, Greg. Marshall appeared to be open, but the ball just sailed.
Over their last 3 games, the Denver Broncos have been outscored in the second half by 41 points. They have been shut out here in Washington in the second half. Betts. And Denver will use its last timeout to stop the clock at 2:08.
Well,
just a reminder, coming up, the Subway post-game show. Join James Brown, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Cowher. They'll have all the latest FL scores and highlights coming up on the Subway post-game show.
Well, Washington is already in field goal range to make it a 2-score game. With the clock stopping at the 2-minute warning, if for some reason they don't make that field goal or whatever, there is a chance that Denver will get the ball back.
What did Santana Moss tell us yesterday? He said, since I've been here in Washington, we've played hit you in the mouth kind of football, and we need to get back to that.
Well, that's what this was today.
Betts. And with that, we'll get to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here at FedEx Field. Washington with the ball and a 7-point lead. Josh McDaniel looking at his 4th quarter woes. Denver is out of timeouts. Washington ball at the Denver 26. And a chance to run out the clock. But 3rd and 9 here. They need a first down. And Betts will look for it on the ground. Look at Betts squeeze across the 20 to about the 17. That is just short of a first down. And it'll be 4th down.
Well, they'll let the clock run down. And then they'll stop it with a timeout. Washington still has all 3 of theirs. Josh McDaniels can't do anything.
That's Sean Sweezum, the field goal kicker. We watched him in pregame. Boy, he was just unloading from 53, 55, 59
timeout Washington,
yards
first
out.
team timeout. It will be a 30-second.
Well, you know, you're
well, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS features doubleheader action. Dan and I will be in Baltimore as the Ravens host the Indianapolis Colts, and then take a look down there in one of our doubleheader games, San Diego at Denver. And you know, the Chargers are saying, hello Denver, welcome back to the pack.
a lot of good football next week. And right now for Denver, they have got to just be reeling almost in that after a 6-0 start that you're 6-3 if Sweezum makes this field goal, which makes it a 2-point game. I mean a 2-score game rather, and you know you're always afraid of having it blocked and run the other way, which would tie it up.
He's 11 for 11 in the field goal department this season. This from 36 yards out, make it 12 for 12.
lot has to be going through Josh McDaniel's mind on this flight back to Denver this evening.
None of it good.
No, first and foremost, we'll be wondering about Kyle Orton and whether or not he'll be able to play next week. But when they were 6-0 and had a 3-game lead in the division, I don't think they could have possibly looked at the Sunday before Thanksgiving as having to play for the division lead in a game with the Chargers.
They lost 30-7 at Baltimore. They lost to Pittsburgh at home last week, 28-10. And they're looking at a 10-point deficit to the Redskins here in Washington with 1:10 to play and no timeouts on the board.
Well, here's where Eddie Royal could change things in a hurry. And he has been there and done that.
Susan scoots this one along the ground, and Royal will pick this one up at about the 16, fumble it, pick it up again, 25, and he buried it to 26. Hey, just a reminder, coming up, the Subway post-game show. JB, Dan Shannon Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher will have all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Subway post-game show.
Well, this is that time of the year you just can't get those other scores fast enough. It's all starting to get a little more nerve-wracking as we move towards Thanksgiving.
Denver out of timeouts. Sims pulls it down, and he goes down. Andre Carter and Jeremy Jarman. Loss of 4, 2nd and 14. Out of the backfield. Moreno looking for the sideline and made it.
Well, let's look at the upcoming schedule for the Broncos. As you can see, a few good teams in there, especially in the short term. They go home for San Diego and then the Giants. Now they get to go to Kansas City and then, of course, at Indianapolis. But there's some games sprinkled in there, 2 with Kansas City, 1 with Oakland. Games that you would think that would be automatic W's, but I'm not sure there are any automatic W's for Denver anymore.
Sims whistled down back of the 19-yard line. Brian Orakpo.
Chris Sims just has nowhere to go with the football. And then constant pressure.
Going to throw this one up the seam, and that's incomplete. And time expires here at FedEx Field.
Well, congratulations to Jim Zorn and the Redskins. A well-earned victory.
Our final score, Washington 27, Denver 17. For Dan Deerdorf and the rest of our CBS Sports crew, Greg Gumbel saying so long from Landover. Coming up next, the Subway postgame show will take you to New York for scores and highlights right after this.